J.M. Sawyer.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Maybe they're in the bathroom. No, I mean, maybe they set their computer up or phone and then left to go to the bathroom.
You know, you heard those horror stories when Zoom meetings first started. Well, people doing all kinds of strange things.
People using green screen apps to freaking hide the fact that they're. Hello and welcome to the Berwick Select Board meeting for March 21st, 2023. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the board minus Mark here today. We have the town manager, town clerk, rec director, member of the public. Let us stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a broken chair.
All right.
50-50 chance of the chair grab their own first.
First, we have the approval of our meeting minutes from February 28th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
All right, so approved. Next, we have our meeting minutes from March 7th, 2023.
I was
Mike,
not here.
Yep. You were not here for that one, so you can't participate on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for March 7th.
I'll make a second the motion, sorry.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? And Mike abstains. All right, terrific. We have our first public comment. Please step to the microphone, state your name and your address, and you have the floor for 3 minutes, please.
Okay. Hi, I'm Susan Morse, 28 Jordan Street in town. And despite what a local report said on the news, I'm not here to ask selectmen to reverse their vote on plans for a pickleball court in the recreation field. I'm here to express my concerns, though, about having 2 pickleball courts close to a compact residential neighborhood, and to ask that neighbors be able to get answers to any questions they may have at a future meeting. I know that the Recreation Department, Commission, and other town leaders are aware of the annoyance issue that comes with pickleball and are taking measures to offset the noise. I only learned that pickleball was part of the renovation plans to the rec field 2 to 3 weeks ago. This is my fault for not keeping up with what's going on with recreation and BOS meetings. But I've also learned that many of my neighbors in downtown Berwick also have no idea about the pickleball courts. I learned that pickleball would be played less than 800 feet from my house. And this concerned me because articles that ran in the Portsmouth Herald in 2022 about a private pickleball club in a residential neighborhood in York highlighted the noise complaints from York residents who live 1,000 feet, and in one case, a half a mile away, from 4 pickleball courts and 1 paddleball court. And this is a greater distance than from my house to the rec field. So I talked with 3 of these neighbors in York who complain not just of the decibel level, but of the type of sound, a constant high-frequency ping, ping, ping from hard paddles and hollow balls. One resident in the neighborhood sold his house due to the noise. Others have said they can no longer enjoy their yards during nice weather. All complain of a loss of quality of life and the threat to their property values. When I looked up information online, I found pickleball complaints nationwide. For those who say, well, you live near the rec area, you should expect noise, I say yes, the noise that was here when we moved in, and we've been here 20 years. But pickleball, though it has paddles, a ball, and a net, it's the same as tennis, is a new use as far as I'm concerned. But what's happening in Berwick is not the same as the controversy going on at a private club in York. I've learned that Berwick Town and committee leaders are looking into putting in an acoustic fence around the courts, using softer paddles, and having a sound study. One resident in York who has looked into this has told me that acoustic fences help muffle the noise, but that full enclosure is necessary to block the sound. I don't know, and that's the issue and why I'm speaking tonight. I don't know enough about what the town is planning or doing. Is the money budgeted for a fence? Would this be constructed before the courts open? Would there be a policy of no use of hard paddles on the courts? And how would this be enforced? Who determines whether the noise levels, once a fence is constructed, are acceptable? Would a sound study be done at another outdoor facility before the Berwick courts are built? I'm requesting that the BOS put this on a future agenda before the courts are built. No time deadline on this. For neighbors and the public to ask questions and to get answers. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? All right. Then I will close public comment. We have no hearings for tonight, no reports from committees, department reports? Nope. No appointments, no unfinished business. Town manager report.
Working with the realtor, got an updated purchase and sales for the piece of property on Durant Road that the board approved selling about a month and a half ago at this point. So we're having legal look it over, and this is on track to close at some point this spring. So that was the piece of property on Durant Road that's essentially a non-buildable lot that's more valuable to the abutter. I would like to schedule a building committee meeting within the next month or so. It's been about a year since this group met. We went over some of the low-hanging fruit, putting gutters back on the building, looking at space saving furniture, identifying projects for the near term. Got some ideas, but I'd like to hear what the committee has for priorities. So I'll be in touch in the next week or so to schedule a meeting. Got some ideas for the bathrooms.
If I can interrupt, last spring, I believe it was last spring, is we met with somebody from the furniture company that was supposed to, do a price sheet and stuff for us. Did we ever get anything from them?
I have that.
Okay.
I do. Yeah. Yep, I can share that.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure the prices have changed since then.
A little bit. It is helpful to look at, and we did use some of that to buy some, just so we don't have the bulky desks.
You're right.
I mean, that's a good example of, these movable desks compared to the old wooden ones is a great example. And just want to, I met with Rob Sullivan of the project manager over at Great Falls today. Just went over a lot of things, a lot of exciting progress. That'll happen over the next couple of years. They hope to have occupancy this year for the building they're building now, which is the 10 one-bedroom apartments and 2 commercial units. And they're looking to get started on 3 more buildings this year and into early next year. A ton of infrastructure has been put on the site, water, electric, sewer. We have some infrastructure work that we're working on as well. A lot of coordination, a lot of different capital projects, infrastructure projects are kind of coalescing where they're intersecting with the edge. We have 2 projects we're trying to sneak in infrastructure while we have the roads open and really make it work. So it's an exciting and interesting and complicated project, but we've spent the better part of 5 to 10 years trying to pull it all together.
Hopefully you can make it all work together and mesh.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I have for this evening.
Terrific. Any questions for the town manager? All right. Select Board Communications. We just have 2 messages from Comcast. One is that effective at March 31st, they'll no longer have the Brazilian PAC channels. And, so cease operations no longer have available through Xfinity. The package Brazilian, banned in duration. And effective April 2nd, the cost for HBO and HBO Max will increase by $1. Don't know why they always like to let us know, but they do. All right, so we have the approval of accounts payable. What?
That we can go through them.
Yeah. All right, we have a payroll warrant number 61 from March 9th, 2023, in the amount of $82,326.26. We have payroll warrant number 62 from March 16th, 2023, in the amount of $74,663.47. We have an accounts payable warrant number 63 in the amount of $1,165,707.63. And we have a payroll warrant number 64 from March 23rd, 2023, in the amount of $77,547.17. And accounts payable warrant number 65 from March 21st, 2023, in the amount of $119,959.56. I make a motion that we pay our bills.
I'll second that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there an explanation why the accounts payable one that's over $1 million? Is there something big on there
That probably has a school payment in it, and I would imagine the bond payment for the fire station maybe. Usually when we go over $1 million, those are included in there.
See here. It's a big one. $712,000 for the education. So that'd be,
It's a school.
yes, that's
Yeah.
more than half of that. And $44,000 for library benefits, $32,000 general fund. $69,000 for general funds. No, these are, yeah. So yeah, a bunch of things came in at once. Debt services, $93,000. So
Yeah,
It just seemed a little off from
Yeah.
the normal.
yeah. Usually if it's
second
over
comma.
$1 million, usually for over $1 million, it's a school payment and a bond payment or two.
usually about once every 3 months it comes up, and it's a big one. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Bills are paid. All right. New business, Memorial Field Playground Bid Award. James. Oh, what? Josh here.
We're going to have questions for you. I know we are.
Yeah, I can give a brief overview just to cover the scope of what we asked for in this bid. And this is right from the bid. The project consists of design, procurement, and installation of a playground and system, include fall zone material work to include the design of a play system within the constructed play area boundaries, as well as installation of commercial grade playground equipment footings, landing mats, and fall zone material. All equipment assembled and installed by the supplier. And we have some requirements about meeting specific standards, including ADA requirements. And the proposals include cost of delivery, play system, inclusive of the equipment structures, components, hardware, detailed technical installation instructions, maintenance and operation manuals, and we ask for 2 sketch-level conceptual designs and itemized pricing. So we also gave them a budget of $100,000. So in this case, they provided different equipment in there for different ages. Some have swing sets. They include cost of delivery. So they vary different depending on what equipment they provide. So that's why each bid is right around $100,000. And even the ones that are less, it's just they have different equipment that they provided in their bid package. And so we went through it, reviewed it. There was a small straw poll that there was a group of 5 that took a look at the different bids. And we have a recommendation. And I can defer to Josh to fill in on anything I missed.
That was more thorough than I was going to explain.
I think we found
I'm happy to answer questions, and
the group coalesced around a top 3. There's a top 3 or 4, but mostly a top 3. And then,
Separation criteria came down to if somebody omitted something that we requested, it was that narrow, like that close of a fight between the six. We just had to be that petty. If you didn't give us something that we asked for, we just kind of had to, we were forced to remove your name from the hat. So it came down to that. But three did rise to the top. I think we'd get a solid product from any of them, but we do have a top recommendation if you want to hear it or if you want to.
Please.
Yeah. Who do you have?
So the New England Recreation Group was a consensus amongst the folks that reviewed the
Why?
packets. Their design stood apart. There was a couple features that were included that were not included by all. Just the presentation of their packet. I know that sounds simple, but it was something that elevated them.
Looks like their lead time's more favorable than a couple of the other groups too.
Yep, that's in one of the lead times for another company was an automatic removal because we needed it done sooner and
They were out by.
Yeah.
They were not this year.
right. Well, they would have been, but it would have been after summer camp started.
Oh.
And I can tell you from the residents, a lot of questions of when are we getting our playground back?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I had that question when I saw it when they took it down because I showed up for the Easter egg hunt last year and I was like, I brought my youngest and they had just taken them down like the week before, and there's like a pile of rubble and I'm like, oh man. So when we getting these back up again?
Yeah, I'm glad the weather didn't push us back another. Like we're already minus 3 weeks now.
The New England group it includes play area for 2 to 5 and 5 for 12.
Correct, that was required.
Okay. Just looking at this chart that we got, is it going to have any? Is it have like wood chips or play surface like
It'll
that?
have engineered wood fiber,
Okay.
which has a fall rating of over 10 feet, which I don't think any structure
Yeah, not that tall.
are that tall. So it's until you get a more permanent, like what's called poured in place rubber surfacing, it's a excellent temporary fall surface.
Well, I remember when I was doing army training and they had basically ground up tires to it's like a fall pit basically.
Yeah, this new stuff, it's called PIP. The poured in place is pretty much recycled tires that they just bond together, and it's got a 12-foot fall rating. It's pretty slick stuff, but it's expensive.
When I was a kid, he just had pebble rocks.
if you were lucky.
And one kid fell off the thing and he was knocked out. We didn't even know really. We thought he was just joking around.
Probably grabbed him by the shirt, picked him up.
Yeah, it was like, come on, get back up. Yeah, walk it off.
So we saw all the things about when they were going to start. When is the completion? When is the estimated completion?
That's a difficult question to answer. We have now when we pick somebody, we go into like really specific design.
Mm-hmm.
These are just concepts.
Yeah.
So now we get to like meet with a representative of their company, and then we really get into exactly the colors, what we want. So we could get representatives from different groups to have input if they would like, but it's still a process. We're not as close as it sounds just because we're selecting a company.
Okay. What I was thinking, I know I wasn't trying to pin you down to a date, but
This summer.
so you think that by the end of the summer that this is going to be usable?
I'd love to have it before June 26th.
Usable by June 26th?
Yes.
Wow, okay. That's great.
It's my wish list. It's when summer camp starts.
when you talk about colors, are we going in line with the Envision Berwick colors?
I don't know if they offer them specifically like that.
Okay. That's just.
I too thought about that as well. In terms of colors, I mean, I'm sure that the recreation committee will, be happy to help, pick a consensus color that will be that none of us will go that's gross or something like that.
So upstairs in the auditorium, they have the actual packets, and in those packets, they have a variety of color selections. They're predetermined. It's 2 or 3 colors they select, and then they give you like 10 tiles of various colors that you choose from. So it's a predetermined color package, but we do get to choose.
Yes.
Okay.
Before you even made your recommendation, just looking at the sheet, looking at the prices, the New England Recreation Group was what I was leaning toward as well, just based off lead time, overall cost, and it felt like the good, midway of the situation, not too cheap, not too long, right in the budget that we're aiming for. So, yeah. Any other questions or comments about the bids? Any other information we want to gather? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I was going to say, do we have
Yeah, I was gonna
the
say,
total number for them?
The total number that James gave me is
$100,000 even.
$100,000 even? Okay. In New England Recreation, correct?
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from New England Recreation Group for the playground equipment for the Memorial Field in the amount of no more than $100,000.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right. Go make us a playground before June 26th.
Let's bring on the nerves.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Matt,
Thanks, Josh.
Good night. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, Sue.
All right. So now we have the annual town meeting warrant articles and all that. So we're going to read these off one at a time. We have to vote on them individually.
Yes, but you just need to raise a hand. I don't need verbals, just say yay, everybody raise their
Okay.
hand.
No motions and seconds,
Yes,
just
no,
hands.
yes,
Okay.
no motions.
Thank goodness.
Just start at Article 1, or do you want me to read the preamble too? Or
No, Article 1 is fine.
all right. Article 1, to elect a moderator to preside over the meeting.
No vote needed for 1 and 2.
All right, thank you. To elect by secret ballot one selectman who also serves as assessor and overseer of the poor for 3 years, and one school board member for
It should
MSAD number 60 for 3 years.
Do we have 2 selectmen this year?
Yes,
Should
it's
be two
two,
Oh, yeah.
selectmen.
you're
and it
right.
should be 2 select board members.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
2 select board members.
This is draft number 47. I will change that.
Okay, so it's-
I mean, it's a good call because we definitely don't need 1. We need 2. So
That's great.
we have 1. We're going to be a board short. All right. Article number 3. Shall the town vote to adopt the proposed amendments to the land use ordinance, Exhibit A, attached here too?
Yes.
Yes. Article 4. Shall the town vote to adopt the proposed amendments to the subdivision regulations, Exhibit B, attached here too?
Yes.
So if you could just verbalize yes.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Shall the town vote to rescind the pinball machine ordinance, which was enacted at the March 14th, 1981 annual town meeting, Exhibit C attached here too? Yes. Shall the town vote, Article number 6, shall the town vote to use up to $3,950,000 from estimated revenues to reduce the amount to be raised by taxation in fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023? Yes. Article 7, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $676,984 for the general expense account to fund a variety of general expenses which are not easily classified from an accounting perspective under other departments, including a variety of required insurance premiums, audit services, legal services rendered by the town attorney, streetlights, and traffic signals for the fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023. Yes. Shall the town, Article 8, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $496,895 for the town administration account for the fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023? Yes. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $377,412 for the town clerk account for the fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023? Yes. Article 10. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $210,180 for the planning account for the fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023? Yes. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $111,855 for the assessor's office account for fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023? Yes. Article 12. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $181,250 for the town hall account for the fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023. Yes. Article 13. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 for the general assistance account for fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023? Yes. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,085,655 for the police department account for fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023? Yes.
If I can just interrupt, make it a little easier. In the past, we have not read off the fiscal year and the beginning, because it's all implied.
Patty, is that okay?
That is perfectly fine.
I have no problem with that either. All right, Article 15. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,341,816 for the fire department account? Yes. Article 16. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,259,460 for the public works account for? Yes.
Now you want to
You
keep
get
reading.
into a
Yeah, you
rhythm.
get in the groove.
Yeah, you get into a rhythm, and
Article 17. Shall the town vote to authorize the expenditure of all revenues received from the State of Maine Urban and Rural Initiative Program for fiscal year 2023-2024 for road improvements as authorized by the program with unspent balances to be carried forward each year? Yes. Article 18. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $607,564 for the refuse disposal account, which funds the operations of the Berwick Transfer Station? Yes. Article 19. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $275,758 and appropriate the sum of $148,000 from the existing recreation revenue account for a total of $423,758 for the recreation account for fiscal year, so forth and so on? Yes.
The current balance.
The current balance of the recreation fund is $164,150.
Did you do your
Yes.
vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Article 20. Sorry, I was just making sure that the number that was in the account was more than the money that we were appropriating from that account. Yes. Article 20. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $336,723 for the Berwick Public Library? Yes. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $166,424 and appropriate $320,692 from the unassigned fund balance for a total of $487,116 for debt services to cover this appropriation for fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023, and as authorized by the passage of Article 31 and 32 at the 2016 annual town meeting election, Article 5 of the November 6, 2018 referendum election, and Article 29 at the 2021 annual town meeting election? Yes. That is essentially paying bills that we've already committed to.
Do you want to make it articles before 31 and 32?
I'm sorry?
Should it be articles before 31 and 32? Not to add to
Can do
your
that. Yep. Thank
extra
you.
rough drafts. Sorry.
It is little. Yes, thanks, Mike.
Article 22. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $32,460 for the Community Agency Appropriations account, which will be used to make contributions to and at the request of the following outside agencies or purposes: Coast Bus Services, Memorial Day, American Legion Seacoast Shipyard Association, and VNA Cornerstone for fiscal year 2023-2024. Yes. Article 23. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $232,744 for the annual fire protection, i.e. fire hydrants costs? Yes. Article 24. I think we're about the halfway point. Article 24. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $250,000 fiscal
I'll
year
fix that.
fiscal year 2023-2024 and authorize its use for road, bridge, and sidewalk construction and repairs, as well as town parking lots and public ways, and including expenses for curbing, drainage, and engineering fees when required, with the funds to be used in conjunction with the State of Maine Urban Rural Initiative Program and with unspent balances to be carried forward each year. Yes. Shall the town vote to appropriate the sum of $65,000 from unassigned fund balance for fiscal year 2023-2024 and authorize its use for a 200 amp generator, stainless steel salt spreader, bridge and sidewalk construction and repairs, as well as town parking lots and public ways, and including expenses for curbing, drainage, and engineering fees when required, with the funds to be used in conjunction with the State of Maine Urban Rural Initiative Program, with unspent balances to be carried forward each year. Yes. Shall the town vote to appropriate the sum of $550,000 from the unassigned fund balance for fiscal year 2023-2024 and authorize its use for road improvements, with the funds to be used in conjunction with the State of Maine Urban Rural Initiative Program and with unspent balances to be carried forward each year? Yes. Shall the town, Article 27, shall the town vote to appropriate the sum of $95,000 from the unassigned, the undesignated fund balance for fire department aerial replacement savings, personal protective equipment, command unit, mobile and portable radios, and hose replacement for fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023, and place this amount in an account established for this purpose with unspent balances to be carried forward each year until fully expended. Yes. Shall the town vote to appropriate the sum of $104,060 from the undesignated fund balance for police department vehicle replacement, building improvements, equipment, and technical improvements, as, so forth and so on? Yes. Unspent balances and so forth. Article 29. Shall the town vote to appropriate the sum of $50,000 from the undesignated fund balance for Public Works Department addition and improvements to the Public Works facility? Yes. Article 30. Shall the town vote to appropriate the sum of $50,000 from the undesignated fund balance for recreation capital improvements? Yes. Article 31. Shall the town vote to appropriate the sum of $150,000 from the undesignated fund balance for a generator and related electrical upgrades for the town hall, which begins July 1st, so forth and so on? Yes. Article 32. Shall the town vote to appropriate the sum of $18,000 from the undesignated fund balance for the transfer station capital improvements, including painting buildings and building reserve? And yes. Article 33. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 from the undesignated fund balance for CACs, Kittery Area MPO, MDOT, Maine Department of Transportation, road programs, and community development block grants for the fiscal year 2023-2024? Yes. Oh, there's actually something different in this one. And consecutive fiscal years for granting matching funds to be placed into this account and carried forward each year. Yes. Article 34. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 and authorize the select board to hold it in a contingency account and to use it to meet unanticipated expenses and emergencies that might occur during the fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023, with unspent balances carried forward each year? Yes. So that is going to be our emergency fund that's going to carry over, and then we're going to try to build it up a little bit in case something happens. Article 35. shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 for economic development purposes for fiscal year 2023-2024? Yes. Article 36. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $28,260 for digital communications, branding, and signage purposes for fiscal year 23-24? Yes. Article 37. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,000 for emergency management purposes for year 2023-2024? Yes. Article 38. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $21,950 for the federal stormwater program, which implements state and federal permitting requirements for discharges from municipal separate stormwater sewer systems, MS4, for 2023-2024? Yes. Article 39. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $35,789 for Berwick Community Media and appropriate $159,789 from Comcast franchise fees and donations for a sum of $195,578 for fiscal year 23-24? Yes.
And one abstain.
Yep. Article 40. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $21,634 for debt services in fiscal year 23-24 as authorized by the passage of Article 37 at the 1997 annual town meeting, which will fund one half of the cost for repayment of the Water Department bond issued by the Federal Rural Development Agency for the new water treatment plant in 1999? Yes. Shall the town vote to authorize the use of interest only from the Lena Clark Trust Fund? The interest balance as of July 30th, 2022 was $49,459, which was the close of the prior fiscal year, which was the close?
Close.
The close.
Yeah.
Okay. When there are major repairs and maintenance needs at Town Hall? Yes. Article 42. Shall the town vote to appropriate the sum $213,740 from undesignated fund balance to reduce the amount to be raised by taxation in fiscal year 23-24? Yes. Article 43. Shall the town vote to charge interest on unpaid taxes at the rate of 8% per annum and to set the date when taxes committed for fiscal year 2022-2023, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2023?
Those need to be updated.
Yeah.
I will get those for the next meeting, but
Thank you.
it'll be around October 15th, April 15th, depending on what day of the week they fall.
Okay. After,
Same.
yep. And allow the tax collector to accept prepayment of prior taxes prior to the tax commitment date. Yes. With amendments. Article 44. Shall the town vote to set an interest rate of 6% as allowed by state law as the rate to be paid to taxpayers who pay amounts in excess of amounts finally assessed and authorize any such interest paid, uncollectible taxes, or abatements granted to be charged against the annual overlay? Everybody got that? Yes. All right.
And can we just note that the election is June 13th from 8 to 8?
The election will be held June, you say 13th?
Yes.
June 13th, Tuesday, June 13th, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's plenty of time, and
Most likely the due date will probably be October 12th
October 12th.
and April 11th. But I will confirm those and We can announce it at the next meeting.
And on that topic, people can still take papers out for a select board,
Yes,
and they need to be back in by.
April 11th, I believe.
All right. So if somebody wants to run for select board, there are two
Well,
slots.
school board.
And school board.
And school board, there are slots open. You need to come in, see the town clerk. They'll give you paperwork to get all that set up. It needs to be in by April 11th. Okay? Terrific. You can have all the fun that we're having now. All right, York County Budget Committee caucuses.
Yes.
What do we got?
Yeah, just read this.
Yeah, it's real, James, you can just read
The caucuses to elect municipal and public representatives to membership of the York County Budget Committee are scheduled for Wednesday, April 12th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. at the York County Courthouse, 45 Kennebunk Road, Alfred, Maine. I think I was reading through here. Is there one vacant seat open for the
For the
public?
district, Berwick falls into, what is it called?
District
District
1.
1.
Yep.
And so currently, they have 2 elected people that haven't expired yet, so they have 1 vacant spot as a member of the public. So any member of the public from any one of those towns in District 1, which includes Berwick, can go to the caucus and say, I'd like to throw my name in the hat. They'll put them all on a list, and then they'll take votes as the normal caucus runs. So for our district, District 1, there is 1 vacancy.
Is this a
So if
page?
anybody is interested, they have questions, they should reach out to, the county manager or Joanne Putnam, who is the chair of the York County Budget Committee.
Is this a paid position?
It is not. It's completely voluntary, and
It's even worse than ours.
and it's several meetings just going over the county budget.
Terrific.
May include.
So if you like doing everything we've done for the last 2 months,
Yeah,
All- all the time.
except for a bigger,
Bigger
area
numbers.
and no pay.
Yes.
Bigger numbers.
But if
That is-
anybody, we always encourage people to take a look.
absolutely.
And so we do have, in this district, in our district, we have 2 people that still have another year or 2 on their term. But the member from the public can be anyone who has an interest, from any one of those towns.
Terrific. All right. We have no quick claim deeds, no abatements, no public left for a second public comment. We will have an executive session, but before we do that, do we have any other business, non-agenda items to discuss?
I just want to say thank you to the planning board and Envision Berwick for the workshop. I think it was productive to at least get us all together.
I thought it was very productive.
And I think, just kudos to the planning board for those that have actually watched the meetings. They've had some things before them that are actually pretty, I don't want to say contentious, but, they're personal to a lot of the residents in town. And I think one thing that's come up, and just a note to the residents too, please do your due diligence to look at the zones that you're living in, and if there's something to that land use ordinance that you feel could be improved as the town grows, please bring it to the planning board, bring it to the select board to try to get it as a warrant article in a future election. We'll take a look at that, but I think that's something that the planning board's done a great job at trying to really understand keeping Berwick to its traditional values, but being in favor of growth and fitting everything that's there inside the land use ordinance. So kudos to the planning board there.
Terrific. Anything else? All right. So then we are going to go into executive session. We are not going to take any votes in executive session, so we're not going to come back out and come back to live. So this is effectively the end of the public meeting. So I make the motion that we enter executive session under Title I, 405-6A for discussion of personnel.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Good night, folks.